Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Freaky Fast Broadcasting on your Wednesday night. Tonight, we give you the coverage of the WSSR VRS Cup Series Season 11, Race 11. We've got tonight, next week, and the regular season is done. 16 positions are still open to be grabbed for the playoffs. The question is, who's ready to make those final steps to be solidified into the final 16 to race for the Season 11 championship? Tonight, North Wilkesboro, a tough track where we've seen a lot of history of wrecks, mistakes, and we're hoping tonight it gets a little bit cleaned up, as it's been a rough season so far of a lot of cautions ever since the new update came out for iRacing and these new next-gen vehicles with the tire model, the aerodynamics. It's been a tough season so far. 32 drivers, though, say let's give it a test at this short track, a little over half a mile in distance. North Wilkesboro should give us a great show as we get to see this historic track with the modern car. We're excited to give you all the coverage here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. Joining me up the booth is going to be Richard Wilsfer. And Richard, we came off of one of the most dynamic and impressive runs at the end of a road course last week at the Charlotte Roval. Got to see Zach Hall go from fourth to first in just one lap, but it was a whole lot of hard work on his part. Tonight, they're going to need a similar effort of a lot of hard work to make it to the end of this one.
Yeah, Zach Hall put on a clinic last night, catching up to the guys who decided to save fuel and was able to make a last lap or a last turn pass for the win. So phenomenal work from him. But yeah, we're going from a road course to a short track, and this is a different short track. It is a very, it's got a lot of characteristic to it, very bumpy. It's a little different that we normally see. The front stretch and back stretch have an uphill and downhill factor to them, so going into the turns is going to be completely different. They got to attack each turn differently as well, and it's also not the widest track in the circuit too, so they've got to worry about cars spinning around and how loose these cars have been since this recent update, and trying to challenge through the new aero package as well. So it's going to be an exciting night here at North Wilkesboro.
Yeah, also the factors of the grass on the back stretch. The walls aren't safer barrier walls. This is just hard concrete that's going to really rip up these vehicles. If we get into the outside wall, it is going to be a lot of just trying to survive. And currently, it's the driver that's still searching for a win, but he's been on a hot streak, top of the board here for practice so far. It's the 27 of Jarrett Talmadge. Almost came away with that victory multiple times this season. Still looking for his first win for Season 11 for the 27. He's also got another driver behind him that's looking for a victory as well. Gavin Rogers enters tonight as your points leader still by 3 points over John Forbes. John is not here tonight. He is currently moving, so he's missing out on this evening's race. It was an already pre-scheduled event. He knew he was going to miss North Wilkesboro, so this could be a good evening for Gavin Rogers to finally get into the win column. And returning drivers, third fastest currently on the board, Tanner Bethea is going to be back out on track. We'll see if that 78, who is very quick, one-lap pace, if we can translate that into some long runs pace here this evening. As we get ourselves prepared for qualifying, practice is finished up. And it's Jarrett Talmadge, Gavin Rogers, Tanner Bethea, Thomas Green, and Shane Tarian going to be your top 5 drivers, with practice concluding. Richard, qualifying, it's going to be quick. They have 2 laps to put down their fastest lap, only 5 minutes to do so. What are some of the factors you feel like these drivers are searching for, and which lap looks to be the money lap?
The edge. This is what these drivers are searching for here at North Wilkesboro. The edge of calamity, basically. They've got to drive these cars to the very point that car is about to break loose, because that's going to be how the fastest way you're going to be able to get around this track. But you have to be able to control that as well. You spin out, you tap the wall, you get into the grass, it invalidates your lap. Now, what we've seen with this newest update with these tires and this aero package, which really the aero package doesn't matter so much for qualifying, but the new tires, the way that they have been introduced into this series is that usually the first lap is your faster lap. So a lot of these guys, we're going to see the heater down on the first one, unless short tracks are a little different, but typically we'll see the first lap be the fast lap for these guys.
especially with the way that these tires have been working. You're seeing the 51 of Vincent Sora got a little bit wiggly out of turn 2. He backs off, prepares for a big momentum surge out of 4 as the 51 gets ready for qualifying. Going to throw away that first lap as Sora trying to get as much heat built up in those tires for a good run. Another big wiggle for the 51 once again. First lap was a 21.4. He's trying to beat Kyle Rochelle, who's got a 19.5 second lap time. 51 stays low, stays off the wall, and across the line. Is it good enough for pole? It certainly is, just by 5/100ths of a second. It's Vincent Sora with the pole time. Now, it's Vincent Sora, winner of this race back in season 6. He got the pole, led the most laps, and won the race. He led 169 laps of 200 that day. Can he grab the pole once again? Doesn't look like that's going to be the case because Ross Tatum, he wants the pole time. Driver that won this race back in season 7 is top of the board. Driver that won here the last time, back in season 9, Zach Hall, 4th. As Cody Reed, where did the 25 find that speed? He's up to 2nd place.
Yeah, Cody Reed, phenomenal time from himself. And actually, we've been noticing a lot of these drivers are faster laps have been the 2nd lap, but Zach Hall, not the case himself. He'll qualify 4th currently as his first lap was faster. But Ross Tatum taking the pole, Cody Reed up in 2nd. That's an impressive work from him. Ryan Bird getting 5th place with a 19.562. We're going to ride along with Jarrett Talmadge, who's one of the faster drivers in practice earlier today. But Colby DiCarlo in the number 22 to the top of the board for himself.
Rookie trying to give a huge shining moment as that was on his first lap for the 22 machine. A 19.469 going to be his time by a little bit over 1/100th of a second. Give it to the 22, who's trying to become our 9th different pole sitter this season. We've had 8 different pole sitters as Jarrett Talmadge rips that time back, and Jarrett's trying to join the class of drivers to have multiple poles this season. It's a 19.4343/100ths of a second faster than DiCarlo. What a time for himself as we're seeing Talmadge just ripping the pace for this 27 as he goes even faster.
Yeah, fantastic work for him, for Jarrett Talmadge, taking the leader for the pole position there away from Colby DiCarlo. That was an exciting moment for Colby, but Jarrett going to sit there momentarily as Gavin Rogers is on track. He's trying to get the pole position here at North Wilkesboro. Currently our points leader with not a single win this season, which is very odd to see from Gavin with road course races on the schedule, but working his best to try to get the qualifying laps down. But Larry Yingling going to take top of the board with a 19.384, and Brian McCann behind him sitting 2nd place.
Brian McCann trying to grab his 3rd pole of the season. Not going to be the case. Kevin Rogers loose out of turn 2 as he'll call it an even for qualifying as he was on his 2nd lap and was hoping to best it. 11th place currently. Few other drivers with a minute left in qualifying have times to get their last runs in. The 7, this is going to be Douglas Newbigin. He's on his final lap of qualifying. First one was invalidated. 2nd, wiggling all throughout the exit of turn 4, and that's not a quick time for himself. Good enough to be inside of the top 25, down in 21st position. Shane Terrian still trying to put down a quick time. Same going to be the 3 of Ryan Kelly, and they're hoping to dethrone Larry Yingling, who's looking for his first pole of the season for the 67 and to be the 9th different pole sitter out of 11 races so far. But Terrian's open. This is the lap, his first one so far going to be clocked in. It's a 19.7 for Terrian. Kelly going to be taking the slower approach, it looks like, for his first lap, as he will be ramping up the speed for the 3 on lap number 2 as Terrian, I mean, he looked like he was looking for that quick pace. He's only going to be 24th fastest currently as he's about to finish his 2nd lap. But here's Kelly. Feel like with this pace that he's backing off with, he's hoping this 2nd lap is where all the speed is. It's a smooth exit at turn number 4, but he didn't get to the line. It does not count for the 3, and it would not have been good enough for the pole. It looked to be a 19.5, which would have been around 15th place. But it's going to be the 3-time champ, Larry Yingling, with the pole here at North Wilkesboro.
Yeah, it's got to be a great feeling for Larry Yingling, who's not really had a flashy season. He's had great sparks of being up front, but just kind of been quiet all season. So to start up front, especially at the track like North Wilkesboro, where we've noticed with this new aero package, position is everything. Being able to aero block at any track right now has been so beneficial for these drivers. You can take away driving lines from multiple drivers behind you just by changing up your lane, your entrance or your exit just so slightly. So a great start for Larry Yingling to start this race off.
As we are into our warm-up period, drivers given 5 minutes to get any last-minute practice in as well. Let's us take a deeper look of how the season's been so far. We're first going to take a look at how the points have been this evening and throughout this season, as drivers have raced 10 races so far, but there is one drop race the drivers are given throughout the regular season, but it's only through the first 11 races of the season. Hey, tonight is your last drop race if you're looking for it. Next week, that race will count. If you're here or not, that will influence your point standings. As here's they are right now. Gavin Rogers, top of the board with a 3-point advantage over John Forbes, who will not be here tonight. Forbes will at least have one race completely missed on the schedule, and that is also going to be part of his drop week, so it is tough for the one machine. But we look at the cutoff line, it's Brian P. Johnson, Ollie Fonseca, Douglas Newbigging, also going to be Samuel Garcia, the drivers of note to watch out for here this evening that need a strong performance, as well as drivers inside of our top 16. I mean, Chris Ditz, he needs to make sure he has a good run. Cedric Hunter also needs a good run because Zach Hall winning last week, he's pretty much locked into the playoffs.
Yeah, Zach Hall pretty much locked into the playoffs. He still has to have a decent run, though, because if they drop, I believe, top 20 in points, you can still, or I believe it's 25, but you can still lose that win in your in chance. So Zach Hall still sitting pretty comfortable with his wins in 15th position right now at the points. But I mean, Brian P. Johnson, he's on the cut line. He's got to worry. Chris Stitz, not that far up. Also, he's got to worry. And Cedric Hunter, all of those guys very close to that cut line. They've got to have at least a clean and decent night tonight so they can stay above that line for their chance at the playoffs.
Well, here's your schedule been so far. You see the rainbows section at the bottom. That's when we get to the playoffs. What we've got tonight here for North Wilkesboro, next week at Talladega. A lot of great racing to be seen. Talladega next week, again, will not be eligible as a drop race. Going to be critical to make sure you stay out of trouble at a big course. It's going to be tough to stay out of trouble with. Then we've got Indianapolis, Chicagoland, round number 1 of the playoffs. Crazy to think, Richard, the season for the regular season is almost over, and it's about to be crunch time for the playoffs here very shortly.
Yeah, 2 races left, and the biggest race I think you're going to have a chance for some drivers that are lower in the points is going to be Talladega. That's a race that anything is going to be able to happen. I mean, the real drivers, they race at the super speedway to end their season as well. So it is a wild card race. Anything can happen at that track, but this is going to be the one. This track is going to be the skill and strategy thought. Who can make the right call for tires and or fuel, and who's going to be able to keep that car nice, clean, and straight for taking home the win tonight.
Well, we made our decisions on drivers who we think are pick'em, storyline drivers who we think might get into victory lane, and we made these choices during the practice before qualifying started, so maybe I would have switched up my pick, but I still think he's got a strong run here tonight. Watch out for the 3 machine of Ryan Kelly. These short tracks where it's all about keeping your tires pointed straight. He looks smooth out of 4, ending off that qualifying run. I think he's going to be smooth here tonight, as long as the 3 can stay out of trouble. Richard, who is your driver, though, that you feel like we need to watch out for?
Consistency and dominance for the Nightmare Fuel team. I'm going to have to go with the 31 of Thomas Green. He has done phenomenal this season, and he keeps performing each and every race and getting better each and every race as well. I think he's going to be able to move up from the 10th place his qualifying position tonight and get up there and try to take this win away.
I also want to say thank you to our producer, Robert Moyer Jr., who's with us. He's going to be going with the 9 machine from Elwood Designs Esports of Shane Tarian. The 9's been looking good as well. He's also searching for that first win this season. Tarian thought he was going to have it back at Michigan. Not going to be the case. He's shown pace here in the past. But once again, like all these drivers, staying out of trouble is going to be the key, as Practice is over. Same for qualifying. Warm-ups have just concluded. We're about to get ready for race time here this evening. North Wilkesboro, race number 11, 200 laps. We've got a stage break at the end of lap 50. 0 fast repairs, 4 extra sets of tires in pit road. And the field is about to be set and ready to go. Quick thanks to our sponsors here for Season 11 of the WSSR VRS Cup Series. First and foremost, I want to say thank you to the Virtual Racing School of VRS. Also want to say thank you to GTR Simulators, Trophy Smack, Sim Precision Prints, and our camera provider here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, Whiplash Sim Cams. As we take a look at our starting grid here this evening, his first pole of the season for the 3-time champ here in the WSSR Cup Series, Larry Yingling is going to be up front. Driver who thought he was going to get his 4th pole of the season, not going to be the case. It's going to be Brian McCann in that 2nd place position. 3rd, we find Jarrett Talmadge in the 27, who's been on a hot streak. Going to continue on, we'll find out. 22 of Colby DiCarlo going to be in 4th position. In 5th, we find Ross Tatum, a driver who won here back in Season 7. Can he find that speed? We'll find out. 6th is going to be the 27 of Tanner Bethea. He's back out on track with Cody Reed in the 25, going to be starting in 7th position. 8th, we find the 51 of Vincent Sora. 9th is the 17 of Chris Stitz. And finishing out our top 10, it's going to be the 13 of Cedric Hunter.
Rolling out position 11 is going to be that of Zachary Hall, last week's winner in dramatic fashion. Gavin Rogers is going to be starting outside of him, our current points leader, in 12th place. Ryan Bird starting back in 13th, with Kyle Rochelle starting outside him in 14th. Row 8 is going to be Brian P. Johnson and Thomas Green. Row 9, Ryan Ferrero and Samuel S. Garcia. And then rounding out the 10th row, Manazzi Major and Nico Garcia in the 71 on the outside.
Back in 21st, we find the 7 of Douglas Newbig, and he's outside looking in points. He needs a strong top 10, if not top 5 performance here this evening. We'll see if we can get it done here tonight. 22nd, we find the 14 of GT Rizari. 23rd, it's Tyler Dangler. 24th, shockingly this far back, it's going to be the 9 of Shane Terrian, Roberts' pick to watch out for. 25th, it's the 74 Nick Crawford. Nicholas Renner in the 76. We'll be starting in 26 with Ollie Fonseca, who was on a really strong hot streak to start the season off. He currently is going to be starting deep in the field in 27th position with Joshua Kanata in 28th. Joshua Corner going to be in 29th with Ben Kinney finishing out our top 30. And the last 2 drivers, my pick, all the way back in the last row, it's Ryan Kelly. He's got a long journey with Mark Morales finishing out in 32nd position. Tonight's race is going to be again here at North Wilkesboro Speedway, a little bit over a half a mile in distance. It's 0.63 miles in total. Track, only 4 corners they're dealing with, but the big thing to note, it's the air temperature, it's the track temperature. 131 degrees Fahrenheit is the track temp. Air temp going to be at 85. That is a warm track. It is a warm day, and we'll see if we can keep it all together for the field. Richard, that track temp going to be the most dangerous thing of the evening.
Yeah, that track temp is going to be killer for a lot of people because that's going to burn up those tires. The tire wear is going to be through the roof with that much of a temperature. That is a scorching temperature for this track. So drivers are going to have to try and maintain their temperatures on those tires because you wear those tires out, your car's going to be slipping and sliding all over the place, and that's how wrecks start.
It certainly will. One driver was sent to the end of the line to start this evening off. That's Ryan Kelly, who's coming off of a reckless rejoin after last week's race at the Roval. So the 41 will start all the way back in 32nd position. Up front, though, green flag is out, and Larry Yingling, as well as going to be Brian McCann, take us into turn number 1. Let race number 11 at North Wilkesboro race on as we exit at turn number 2. The field hoping for a clean exit, and so far it is. Richard, this is an amazing start. Now it's about finding the spacing, give enough room. You've got 200 laps at North Wilkesboro to handle.
200 laps, 50 laps to the stage, though. That's going to give these drivers a little bit of a breather, but Larry Yingling, a great start, launches up front. He's going to be able to control this race. And like I said, we get to see what he can do by using that air. It's going to be the new way to block a lot of drivers. It's going to take away that air on the nose. It's not going to let those drivers turn as well, and they're going to burn their tires up when they're trying to force that car to turn. But Larry Yingling leading this race so far with a very, very strong lead.
Extremely strong lead so far. Tyler Dangler in the 19 decided to start in pit road. Samuel S. Garcia seemed to be having some internet issues, has not returned back as he was there for lap number 1, but has not returned. He is still out of the server. We're expecting him to get a packet message here shortly to officially say he's out of this thing, but seeing a couple of the pink machines around one another. That's Cedric Hunter and the 31 of Thomas Green side by side battling for 10th position. As you hop on board the pink freaky fast broadcasting machine, Thomas Green representing in the pink, trying to honor his mother who recovers from breast cancer, and the pink breast cancer awareness as driver going to be spun around. Trouble going to be for Samuel S. Garcia, who gets back into the server, but he's all the way down on the apron on the back stretch. An odd place to be as he toes into pit road.
It's not what you like to see. Samuel S. Garcia back out on track just to spin the car right around. Going to tow it back to pit road. I guess that's going to be a quick one for him. But we also had a little moment from Zach Hall. One thing we're going to be seeing a lot on the exits of these turns is these cars getting a little loose. Zach Hall got a little loose a little bit earlier ago, but Gavin Rogers sideways on the track. That's the caution. Gavin Rogers 75 brings out the caution.
And luckily down on the inside, everyone able to avoid and go around that 75 machine. The Next Level Motorsports driver was just inside of our top 10 and was trying to stay there. Not going to be the case as he will fall all the way down to 30th position. We'll see how many of those spots are brought back. But here's going to be the replay on what brings out our first caution of the day on lap number 8. And it's off the wall and across the nose. That was Thomas Green that Rogers found himself going around. And whoo, what a moment for Douglas Newbigging, who almost ran into the rear end.
Yeah, great work by all the drivers to see that, recognize it, and be able to not get into Gavin. But unfortunate to see Gavin just a little bit high on the exit. It looked like gets into the wall as we're looking back now with Douglas Newbigging, who had a huge moment here. But Gavin Rogers across the nose of Thomas Green after getting into the wall, spins sideways, and that car is parked broadside on this narrow racetrack. And Douglas Newbigging, great work not hitting him, and everybody else behind him doing fantastic work not getting into Gavin Rogers, who is basically sitting around basically half the width of the racetrack with this car sideways.
Yeah, it was blocking majority of that inside row, and it was tight for Douglas Newbigging because he had Manazzi Major to his outside, had to give enough space for the 82 to get by, and then slowly shift up. As with the timing of this caution, Tyler Dangler will get his lap back and will race around to make us 31 drivers on the lead lap. Samuel S. Garcia still sits in pit road. Not sure if we'll be seeing that 50 machine back out there on track as he's trying to figure out his internet issues. But Larry Yingling leads those first handful of laps. Looks to be comfortable and confident. Brian McCann also finding some spacing. It was a fourth on back where we were starting to see a lot of those drivers getting shuffled up side by side, trying to make as many big moves as possible. But Richard, I mean, it looks to be up front, difficult to make passes, but deeper in the field is where drivers were making a lot more big moves.
Yeah, I mean, back in the pack, back in the field, middle of the field, a lot of the drivers are already too wide. It's hard to get out of that too wide state when you got multiple rows that are driving 2x2x2. So it's a little easier to get around people when there's multiple rows that are driving side by side. But I think once you get lined out, I believe the passing is going to be a little difficult. And I think the one thing you're going to see is you're probably going to see a lot of chrome horns to get around people, it seems, from what I've experienced. So but these drivers are lined up side by side again, getting ready to take the green flag as they go around 3 and 4.
I want to say thank you to those that are already watching with us in the early portions of tonight's race. As first caution is out of the way, we are back to green flag racing as Larry Yingling, Brian McCann going to be taking off and go. A little bit of shuffle going to be on that outside with Colby DiCarlo, who did not get the launch he was hoping for, and almost able to give space for the 27, and will do so as Cody Reed backs off in that purple and white 25. Cody especially wanting to go and almost running into the rear end. You can already see the checkups happening where some drivers are ready to take off and go immediately, while others trying to find their spacing as caution is out. Wreck further in the back. And luckily it did come out because I had a feeling it was going to be a wreck up front if we stayed green.
This time it was the other Next Level Motorsports driver of Nick Renner who was sideways, and he's got some major damage on the right front of his nose. So unfortunate to see as he returned to the racing as we ride along to see kind of what had happened. He's on the inside here, so an odd situation. He just got loose all by himself, and that's what I was talking about on the exit. The car just likes to get loose and just dove straight up into the turn. Then he got a little tap from the number 2 who just wasn't slowing down enough.
He was locked up. That was the problem with the two. He needed to let off the brake and turn, and not able to do so. As take another look at it, and I mean, this is one of those close spots. The exit of the corners were tough. We saw it during qualifying on drivers getting extremely loose, just under 2 laps of putting down times, and Surprise just got loose, overcorrects, and ships it right to the outside wall. Got to give credit to Ryan Ferraro in the 10, able to stay away as the 2 of Joshua Corner. Not his most favorable moment of the season, I would say, for the 2.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for Nick Renner here is got to hope there's not a lot of wheel damage. The body damage isn't going to be that big of a deal when it comes to the short tracks, so hopefully as little damage as possible. But with the concrete walls and how much that car snapped and the speed, it's probably a lot of damage on that car, so it's going to be rough to see what he can do the rest of this race trying to get back out on track. But unfortunate to see for Nick Renner as his return just a little loose off the turn, car snapped and into the outside wall.
We got a couple of drivers calling it an early evening for themselves. Tanner Bethea, right when the yellow flag came out, pulled in the pit road and decided he is done for the evening. And also after this second caution, Tyler Dangler looks to be calling it evening as well for himself. Still in pit road is Samuel S. Garcia, as we are left with a total of 28 drivers on the lead lap. As Joshua Corner went in, got repairs done, but it set him 1 lap down. We're only 16 laps into tonight's 200-lap featured event as we are watching the WSSR VRS Cup Series this evening. Right before the caution came out, right before we went green, I should say, I was going to give a shout out to some of the people that are chatting with us, that are rooting for some of the drivers out there on course. As always, rooting whenever Gavin Rogers is out on course. We got Donna Lee rooting for. Let's get this one, Gavin. We're hoping to see Gavin Rogers try to make the come up, as he will have to try to make this return back up front, as he's currently in 28th position. We also have Mystery Chuck. Hopefully not too many cautions. Well, that was before our second one came out. We're hoping that it doesn't continue to breed more, but drivers are ready. They are set. It's Jared Talmadge, Larry Yingling back out there for green flag action. And here we go, Richard, once again down into turn number 1.
Once again, the drivers are full speed, and they are 3 wide. Cody Reed taking to the outside there. They are still 3 wide on the backstretch. This is something you don't see very often here, but Cody Reed making that outside work, trying to get around the 22 and the 21. He is finally able to clear the 22 and the 21 at that, so phenomenal mood for Cody Reed.
And taking every advantage, seeing drivers backing out. If we saw Colby DiCarlo, he's willing to back off, not really want to force the issue immediately on these restarts. And Cody Reed, saw an opportunity, he'll pounce on it. He'll try once again, get to that outside, trying to build as much momentum to pounce on our top 3. And Lenny Reed out in the chat, Cody's dad, rooting and hollering as Cody is making this outside row work currently on both sides of the track.
Making that track work for him. He is doing a great doing a great job driving everywhere on this track and keeping up. The question is how much tire did he use using this outside line? He's got a lot of speed up there. Those tires are going to warm up a lot more when you got a lot more speed through the turns, so it's possible he might have burned him up, but we got to see as he's making a move on Brian McCann. He's trying to look to that outside, and that's what we've been mentioning about the aerodynamics now that they've added to the iRacing for these cars. He's looking for different lines to take to get out of that dirty air behind another car to help that car turn and have a little bit more speed. So he's looking around, searching around the track, trying to find somewhere to get some more speed so he can move forward and make the passes, try to get up to the lead.
Trying to find that spacing. Vincent Sora going to be lingering in mind. The 21 of Ross Tatum, as Colby DiCarlo, he's starting to show a little bit more urgency, wanting to pounce and get closer to that 25-er bumper on entry of the corner. And also seeing a couple of other drivers. Chris Stitz in 8th place. Zach Hall, our winner from last week, he currently runs in 9th. But one of our biggest movers so far here in the early goings of this race, it's Shane Terrian back in 12th. He's up 12 positions, but he is watching this gaggle of cars just get more and more complicated as Cody Reed, big slide, holding on. But that battle for 5th, it is about to get very dangerous because those tires for Cody Reed look to be too worn, too hot, and it could be dangerous right here going into turn number 1 on the exit 2 here.
Yeah, just like fuel tires are a resource, and depending, like, you got to treat those tires really well. You got to take care of them for them to take care of you. And when you use too much, this is what's going to happen. You're going to start dropping like a rock as Cody Reed is getting past, and he's still getting challenged from cars behind him as well. So I mean, everyone trying to get around Cody Reed right now is the number 17 of Chris Stitz, looking and following him on the outside line. They're trying to get around the 21 of Ross Tatum as well. Ross Tatum still making that inside line work. We've got two definitive lines here. A lot of drivers taking that second line, trying to make the passes work up there. But that bottom line is doing a really good job defending and keeping their momentum as well to maintain position.
It's a wall of Elwood Designs esports drivers. 71 of Nico Garcia, the 9 of Shane Terrian. They're just trying to hold steady as Brian McCann lingers behind them. Brian McCann cannot just settle on where he's at. That 28 needs to get inside of the top 10, get those bonus points. He entered tonight in the top 16, was 16th in points. And he needs good bonus points to make sure he's got a lot more of a comfortable zone heading into next week at Talladega to point his way or even possibly win his way next week or tonight for the 28 to make the playoffs and make it a lot more solidified. But one driver that looks comfortable and calm, that's Larry Yingling up front. We'll keep our camera, though, on this action because it is something of sorts of these drivers look to be getting slightly impatient for some. Others willing to just rip the top, not trying to really brace for any big moves. But Thomas Green, watch out for that 31. He's going to force the issue to go 3 wide here off the exit of turn number 4. Still trying to find the spacing. Cody Reed somehow still having the tires to mount the outside. Stitz not feeling as comfortable on that inside row, but Thomas Green almost squeezed there in the center of 3 and 4. Seeing that top 5 all single file out and pulling away. You're seeing all the spots in the Thomas Green. I think he might be trying to find a way how to get to the outside of this 25. Instead, he'll just mount a huge run off the exit of the corner. Ross Tatum's just stayed to the inside. This 21 has just been salvaging his tires. If he somehow can break through this wall, Tatum could be a driver to watch out for on a big run. But I don't know what we're going to see. I mean, Richard, this just seems like a waiting game of who's going to crack at this moment.
Yeah, it is a big waiting game. These drivers are kind of stuck behind some of these guys that are too wide where their tires are wearing out, and they're just kind of being a wall, being a disruptor for everybody behind them that are faster. As they're 3 wide, Green, Zach Hall, and Tatum, 3 wide, they're all stacking up on each other, trying to get around Cody Reed and Chris Stitz, who have just been, keeping themselves side by side, being a wall, being that air disruptor for everybody behind them. They're struggling to get around, but Thomas Green trying to poke a hole in the wall, sticking his nose underneath Reed, not able to do it, as they're going to have a little problem with the 27 of Talmadge, who was really slow.
And now we have a new contender that's slowing down the field as Jared Talmadge falls back. And now it gets even more clogged as DeCarlo trying to pull away as best as he can. Save for Vincent Soar. They're 4 wide for a quick moment. Talmadge stays high. That 27 is having some major issues for himself now as the field gets by the second place finisher of last week, Jared Talmadge. Tires gone, might have some wheel damage, and he is just crumbling here on lap 35.
Yeah, that has got to be some damage to the steering on that car because he is just dropped like a rock. Now, I know tire wear can definitely drop you pretty heavily also, so maybe he just utilized too much, but the amount he's going and how slow he is, this is just kind of an indicator there might be some damage on that car that he's going to have to get repaired.
And that whole entire jostle as he finally gets to the inside is going to be Talmadge. He's going to be trying to get to pit road, I think, here, or just minimize the amount of lost time he's going to deal with. The problem is that we are still having 14 laps to go before the stage is over, and the pace that he is going right now, Talmadge will go a lap down. He's got to be worried about going multiple laps down before the stage is over. As we move up to 4th place runner, that's Colby DeCarlo. What a charge by this rookie, which I feel like we say so many weeks early going. This 22 looks so good. It's can he get the finishes that these early runs show out? As Shane Terrian, now it's his chance to try to get by the 25 of Cody Reed. This is a battle for 8th place currently.
Yeah, this battle for 8th place in the top 10 positions is really heating up. Shane Terrian in the middle there, getting around Brian P. Johnson, trying to fully clear Cody Reed. And he ships it into the turn. He's going to door Cody Reed, going to use him up a little bit, but that opens the door for Brian P. Johnson underneath him as they get a little loose coming out of the turn down the backstretch. Still 2 wide into 3.
An immediate apology by the 9 machine. He did not want to make contact, but just completely tightened up with drivers crossing over the nose of the 9. It just lost all front end. The brakes weren't there to slow up quick enough, and instead it was Cody Reed who gets used up through the corner. We continue to stay side by side, but Cody Reed in a losing battle as he's been on this outside groove this whole entire run and just has never found an opportunity to get down low and try to save these tires as the wall creeps up on the 25.
Yeah, I think what Cody Reed's got to do is he's got to be a little bit aggressive with his driving. Instead of giving this space, maybe kind of hold that driver down a little lower. He's got the opportunity to go low. He's going to stay high, though. He is really liking about that middle side of the track. He's not wanting to take the inside line. He had the space to get down there, but he's trying to make this outside line work, trying to bring Nico Garcia along with him as Nick Crawford almost gets into Garcia's left rear there, but no contact made. They still keep it straight. And Cody Reed is just doing everything he can to make that outside work, but keeps getting challenged every chance.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, Cody's just going for screen time as he continues to stay high. Contact Garcia, Crawford, they go around. And there's a caution late in the stage. We will have another restart before this stage is over. But we knew it was going to happen at some point around the 25, and it was Cody Reed slamming the wall, ricocheting into Crawford and into Garcia, and away they go, bringing out another caution. And here's the replay that brings out our most recent caution. I mean, Nico Garcia just trying again to stay out of bad luck, but it just can't get away from the 71.
Yeah, unfortunate for Nico Garcia. He was trying to look for the way to get around the 25, and he stuck his nose kind of in the middle there, trying to make that little lane work, maybe get around Cody Reed. And I don't even think they made contact. Cody Reed hit the wall, and honestly, I think that's netcode between the 71 and the 25 machine.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen that happen on iRacing a lot since the new year, where drivers, they hit the wall, an invisible kind of vehicle ricochet off. Here's another look at it, and yeah, that's netcode bouncing off the 71 and the 25, collecting Crawford. This caution gonna help some, may hurt others, as now's your hard decision. Do you pit on this caution, or do you go for track position and bonus points? Richard, this is hard for a lot of drivers because the end of this race is gonna be so critical of a good finish for some, and pitting now would almost solidify a good finish by the end of the race, but the bonus points are too critical for others. We've got a majority of the field deciding to pit, while about 12 decide to stay out under this caution.
Yeah, I think that's the right call. I was about to say, you know, if you're between the top 12 and top 15, stay out, try to get those bonus points, but anyone further back, this close to the end of the stage, might as well pit, get the new tires, save your tires. I think that's the big thing that everybody that pit has to understand. Save your tires. Do not use them up, because when the cycle comes out, the stage is over, you're all going to cycle to the front, then you're going to have that track position, and as long as you can maintain that, you can keep those faster guys behind you a little easier than if you were trying to pass them when they were in front.
Here's going to be your 13 drivers that decided to stay out. It's Larry Yingling, Brian McCann, Chris Stitz, Zach Hall, Shane Tarian, Brian P. Johnson, Cody Reed, Douglas Newbegin, Kyle Rochelle, Ryan Berg, Gavin Rogers, Mark Morales, and Ben Keeney. Going to be your top 13 drivers that stay out. Vincent Sora, Cody DiCarlo, Thomas Green, they did pit, but they're going to be in the middle of all this chaos. Fresh tires versus new. Do you push? Do you stay? It's a 3-lap shootout to the end of the stage as we are back to green flag action. It's going to be Brian McCann, Larry Yingling taking us down this turn 1. But if we get a caution before the end of lap 50, this race, that stage, excuse me, will end there as Mark Morales will stay high. He'll get out of the way, but up front, it's all Larry Yingling who just pulls away, but there's the caution. That's the stage, and it's Ben Keeney going around for the 98.
Keeney around and some big damage on his car as well. But I mean, that's just because we have these concrete walls, no safer barriers. Damage is going to be massive for a lot of these cars whenever they hit. But unfortunate to see, as they were 3 wide there, he was just going a little slower. A lot of drivers driving around him, and just kind of gets clogged up with a whole bunch of cars, and just gets into Martin Morales on the outside wall, and around he goes. That
could have been so much worse. The opening on the backstretch, Ben just missed it at front end, grazing the wall, and Joshua Corner also staying away when the 98 backs up. But that is one of the scarier spots where you see a wreck. You don't want to hit that opening on the backstretch. That would just rip apart any vehicle and could ricochet you back across the field. Well, just searching for space, and there wasn't there. The 98 and the 91 make contact. That will be your stage, and Larry Yingling will be your stage winner. as drivers making the decision into pit road. Shockingly, this is a choice by them. Larry Yingling, Brian McCann, Zach Hall, Brian P. Johnson. They are staying out, Richard. They are not pitting at this stage caution.
They must think that track position is a lot more important, which I agree, track position is a lot more important, but knowing that over 15 cars pulled into the pits, that is a lot of traffic you'd have to get through. So I'm assuming that maybe they can make it on fuel. I don't know what the fuel load is for these drivers, but it's an interesting call from these drivers in front.
It is. Hey, let's talk to our stage winner. Get his thoughts on this run, because this is an interesting call. We kind of need his thoughts on. Larry, it's Sam and Richard up in the booth. Congratulations on being the stage winner here at North Wilkesboro. You didn't pit. Majority of the field's already pitted. What was the strategy call there, and how's the car feeling right now?
Car feels pretty good. I know we're definitely going to get, hopefully not ran over, but it's going to feel like it. Yes, I figure people will flip the stage, and if we pit there, we only have one lap fresher tires there, and it would be mid-pack anyway. So it's just stay out and see where it gets us. Hopefully, if there is another yellow, by the time we fall back, maybe that's probably where we would be anyway.
Well, we're hoping for the best, Larry. Good luck on this restart. We'll send you back to your team. As we are about to go back to green flag here quickly, pace car pulls off, green flag is out, and it's the Yin Yang drivers up front of Brian McCann, Larry Yingling, down into turn number 1. In our top 4, that's Yingling, McCann, Hall, Johnson. They have not pitted yet so far, and Hall and Johnson are being swamped by multiple drivers to the inside. Hall's trying his best to stay strong, same for Johnson, but this is a losing battle of those drivers in the outside group, as Cedric Hunter has to back out. Oh, there's DeCarlo taking it wide, and that 22 better be careful, because there's Johnson on old tires off the exit of the corner.
Very odd strategy call for those top 4 drivers, as they were just swallowed right up. The only 2 that remain are Brian McCann and Larry Yingling of Yin Yang Racing, but Brian McCann now under attack from Vincent Sora. He's going to be able to get past pretty easily from Vincent Sora himself, but DeCarlo back there 3 wide in the middle with Thomas Green and Brian P. Johnson. These drivers are not giving any inches, and they are trying to race like it's the last lap of the race.
And you kind of have to. You get into a position where we saw with Cody Reed. I mean, you can be very aggressive for multiple laps, and then you can defend for about 10 laps or so before these tires really fall away. Some might be anticipating an early caution here, as we're seeing Thomas Green and others trying their best to get by Johnson, as well as going to be McCann. Yingling still holds strong up front, but Hall is the one who's been swamped the quickest, as the 32 and the 28 trying their best not to lose any more ground than they have to, as McCann, hard contact off the exit of turn 2. The 8, he's trying to keep some good pace, but and then we see the middle of this pack right now, Richard. It is still side-by-side racing like we were seeing earlier on, but it's when they catch up to these slower drivers on older tires where things get really interesting, as Martin Morales struggles to stay on the outside, and it's DeCarlo. He has to back out as we're 3 wide, 4 wide, and what a move by the 22.
Martin Morales is having some issues. He is all the way up against that wall. He's smacked it quite a few times. He's just trying to stay out of the way as everybody's driving around him, but some major issues for that number 191 machine.
And while all this chaos is happening, it is still a gaggle of cars, a hornet nest further on back, as they're still 2-3 wide. Zach Hall struggling to find an opening. Nicholas Renner, Ryan Ferraro, also going to be the 71 of Nico Garcia. They're almost 3 wide as Kyle Rochelle. The 41 is Renner poking the nose. Excuse me, that's Rogers poking the nose, trying to push his way through this field and tempting big moves. And this 75, not scared to poke the nose, as he knows he's quick, but in a taste of what it's like to deal with this dirty air so far back, you really can't make any moves.
Yeah, Gavin Rogers, he was up in the top 10 before he spun out across the nose of Thomas Green, trying to make his way back up through the field, currently in 18th, looking to pass Ryan Bird for that 17th position. But back up here, we're watching Nick Crawford. He is getting around currently the 28 of Brian P. Johnson. And now it's just trying to play the aero game, try to stay in front, take the line away from the car behind you, and make your way forward as best you can.
Make the moves, and 74 caught up in an earlier wreck, has done a great job moving up into 7th position after being spun around. Also seeing Brian P. Johnson, he's doing a decent job staying ahead of all these drivers that have been really falling and getting by. As there's Manazzi Major attempting the outside row. Shane Terrian trying to follow that 82 and pick and choose where he can make these passes the best that you can. As now we're gonna have a new slow driver. That's Jared Talmadge, who's still dealing with some damage for the 27. As he'll try to stay wide in the outside as Terrian quick squeeze. As we were 4 wide for a quick moment there. As the 9 trying his best to get to the inside row. Manazzi Major stuck to the outside, and it's the 28. Who is he willing to help at this point is the decision.
Zach Hall also had a moment there, got a little loose on the back. I think there was contact with the 24 of Ali Fonseca as well, but Zach Hall really falling down through this field on those older tires. Unfortunate to see. He is not having a good start to the second stage of this race.
Absolutely not. And as we've been watching a lot of this chaos in the middle of the field where everyone's 2-3 wide and clogged up on top of one another, the battling up front is also starting to rage on. It's Vincent Sora and Cedric Hunter, as Cedric Hunter was right on the back bumper, but snaps loose out of 2. This 13 Hello Kitty machine has been running faster than Sora for the past 4 laps. He's ran down this 51, but that little wiggle and slide now kind of gives up a lot of that momentum and tires. Hunter is thrown out. This could be a complete run scrubbed away for at least the next 20 laps if we stay green for that long, as Mark Morales stays high once again.
Cedric Hunter might be running faster than Vincent Sora, but how much of that tire resource is he using to get up to him? So Vincent Sora, like I said, he's in the beneficial position. He's in the lead. He's got the clean air, so he can kind of direct where he wants Cedric Hunter to run just by kind of putting his car in a place that Cedric would normally run. It's going to put air onto Cedric's nose, dirty air, and make him have to try to search around the track for a faster line. But Cedric Hunter still, is running faster, got up to the rear end, the rear bumper of Vincent Sora. He is looking to try to win this race to score his way in, and there's a massive wreck going into turn 1. Caution out again.
That's Kyle Rochelle, Nico Garcia spun around for the both of them. As the 41 finally finds spacing to turn around as our leaders catch up where those drivers wrecked on the entry of turn 1. Rochelle as well as Garcia, they both were attempting some big runs, but like you said, kind of a big wreck down into turn number 1. You hate to see this type of contact happen, but here's the replay of what brought out our most recent yellow.
Riding along here with Brian McCann. Let's jump over up front here with number 41 machine. Kyle Rochelle just kind of got loose, kind of the building in the way there, so not able to see it. Just collecting Nico Garcia, an innocent bystander, and massive hit for Nico into that outside wall.
I mean, if John Forbes isn't going to be here, he should have gave his lucky horseshoe to Nico Garcia, as that 71 not finding the luck so far here tonight. Gets caught up with the netcode incident with Cody Reed, and now going to get hit with this overcorrection. A little bit of a tap from the 41 in the 16 off the exit of turn 4. Overcorrects too far and collects this 71. Here's the look once again. Outside perspective, just running their own race on the outside. Garcia trying to just survive at this point, and then you're out of the race in a blink of an eye.
Yeah, that's Nico Garcia. He's going to call it a night. He is disconnected. This car's probably got way too much damage. As we see there's smoke. That motor is toast. That is going to be too much damage for them to be able to repair. Nico calling it a night here at North Wilkesboro. Unfortunate to see for having such a great run the second half of the season.
But this caution needed and appreciated for the likes of the drivers that stayed out. That being Brian McCann, Larry Yingling, Zach Hall. They're able to, and Brian P. Johnson, all able to come into pit road to get service done. A few other drivers will tag along with their strategy call of Joshua Kanata, also Ryan Ferraro, going to be taking a pit stop, taking some fresh tires. It's going to be a 26 lap difference on tires. I think that's going to be big enough for them to find the speed to charge their way through this field. The question is, how patient are they willing to be, or do you need to be aggressive to utilize these tires to their fullest potential? Up front, Vincent Sora, Cedric Hunter, cool off those tires, cool off their speed, find their tempo once again, because we're about to be back to green flag action. As pace car pulls off into pit road, we are green, and it's Sora with a good launch on the inside, but Hunter trying to stay to the outside quarter panel. They'll be almost dead even down into turn number 1. Hunter has to stay close. If he can get the good run off the exit of the corner, he can fight for the lead, but not able to do so. But he pushes Sora to the inside as they'll be stay side by side through 3 and 4.
Patrick Hunter has not allowed Vincent Sora to get the launch that Larry Yingling was getting. He stayed with him. He's going to have a chance. He's going to look low on Sora. His nose is kind of there. He's going to try and side-by-side him off the turn, but no. Vincent Sora still able to maintain that position, clear him. Cedric Hunter still right on the bumper of that 51 machine, but he's got Ross Tatum also looking down his neck.
Ross Tatum trying his best to close in the gap as quickly as possible as Cedric Hunter, Vincent Sora trying their best to stay in line, but with everyone running low, it gives opportunity for those drivers on the outside to utilize their speed and momentum. Nick Crawford going to move up now to 4th position. Thomas Green back into the mix. Chris Stitz also going to see Colby DiCarlo. They are back in this fight as further on back. Brian P. Johnson trying to utilize those tires to move his way forward, but only able to get up to around 14th position. I take that back. He falls quickly with contact with as well. It looks like Zach Hall having some trouble with the 28 as they were trying to make the strategy work on tires. Doesn't work. Both make contact on the exit turn 2 a lap ago.
Paul, Brian P. Johnson having struggles of their own. They're back in the back of the field. They've got to get through, and they're just having struggles trying to get around everybody. But it is a hornet's nest back here around Shane Terry, and back in around the 10th position. Drivers are so close to each other, still side by side, still trying to race and get in front of each other, trying to get as many cars past, because when these tires plateau, it's going to get even harder to make a pass.
Certainly will. Stays high. Going to be Monazzi Major in the 82. As he falls away. But looking at drivers that are on this shot right now, you see DiCarlo, Cody Reed, Ryan Kelly, Shane Terry, and I mean Kelly and Darian, what a great job for the both of them as we are 80 laps in. Want to give credit to the 3 machine as being our Whiplash Simcam's biggest mover of the race so far, up 21 positions. He didn't even get that time to count on his last qualifying lap as he's had to march his way from that last row back in 31st position, now inside of the top 10. What a charge by the 3 machine.
Oh, but we got a spinner behind him. The number 14 machine is spun around. GT Irizarry all the way around, facing the wrong way. That's going to be another caution for the drivers to deal with.
And this was a bizarre one. This started off the exit of turn 4 and ended in the middle of 1 and 2. As the 14 might have gotten a little bit of assistance by a quicker 28 of Johnson. Trying to get through, taps the 14, and GT goes for a big slide, locks it up, and whips it into the outside wall. And it could have been a lot worse on damage-wise for the 14, but he's got a lot of rear-end damage, a little bit of side damage for the 14, but Irizarry, he might have a little bit of a receipt for Johnson later on in this race.
A little receipt that he wants to cash in possibly later. You'd hate getting a little bump going into a turn, but I mean, I fear that's one of the almost only ways you're going to be able to pass anybody. Not necessarily spin someone out, but give him a little bit of the chrome horn, that front bumper, push him into a turn, make him get a little tight, and they're going to have to slow down. But that was a little too aggressive, I think. And as we saw, GT Irizarry just unable to save that car and keep it straight. The caution comes out, and we're going to have to re-rack and re-race.
And I think a bizarre choice. Ross Tatum, I'm going to keep my eye on that 21. He was in fourth and 3rd position. He was up there in the top 5. Decides to pit and is the only driver instead of our top 20 to make that choice to pit. That has got to be a heartbreaking decision when you feel like more drivers behind you will follow, and they do not when you go into pit road. Drivers, get ready. We're closing in on the halfway of tonight's race. We want to give a shout out to our major sponsors that help out here for season 11 of the WSSR Cup Series. First and foremost, I want to say thank you to the Virtual Racing School. if you want to find yourself with your highest potential, with great information of data info, of getting coaching help, and trying to help you on the virtual track and beyond, head on over to virtualracingschool.com. Thank you so much to VRS for being our title sponsor for Season 11 of the WSSR VRS Cup Series. Also want to say thank you to GTR Simulators. If you're wanting to go find yourself with some great simulators to feel like you're in a pro vehicle, but at home, go check out gtrsimulators.com today. And when purchasing, remember to use the promo code WSSR at checkout for 10% off with any $100 or more purchase. Don't miss out on your chance to upgrade your rig and race like the pros. As our pro drivers here in the WSSR go down into turn number 1, Vincent Sora, Cedric Hunter putting on a show up front as they continue to go back
into the top 5 for him in that 25 machine, and he is making that outside work. The only downside is it does eat up his tires a lot. We saw him drop back pretty heavy earlier on in the race, so we'll have to see if he's found something that maybe save those tires a little bit. They're 4 wide further back, and a huge squeeze on Brian McCann, but they kept out of each other, and they're keeping it straight, no caution, but it is just a huge gaggle and a roadblock back here in the 10th, 11th, 12th position.
Yeah, big problem. Manazzi Major, he just lost all grip as Johnson gets a small tap. He goes around. Big save by the 28. We continue to stay green as he'll fall from out. Oh, never mind. Another driver goes around. That's Brian McCann who gets the big spin.
Brian McCann, who was stuck in the middle for a while there with a lot of those drivers, and he's got some heavy front end damage also. That is not what you want to see. That is potential engine damage too. So we'll have to see if he's completely under power as well. So it's going to be unfortunate for him. But as you can see, a little spin right there from Brian B. Johnson. Got a little help from Ryan Bird. But then Brian McCann just in the middle gets down into Ross Tatum. Ross Tatum up into him. Not sure exactly, but head on into the inside pit wall. An unfortunate event for Brian McCann.
And just squeezing into the middle. There's all 3 drivers. Manazzi was trying to stay on the outside, but it's the middle and inside driver that get into one another, and Brian McCann into pit road, trying to get service done for himself. No required damage officially given out to the 8, but he will sit in pit road and try to get as much damage done as possible. We'll get rolling. Just a little bit late was McCann. He'll stay 1 lap down currently for himself. We're left with 22 drivers still on the lead lap. 1 lap down. Currently, Kyle Rochelle, Brian P. It's actually going to be Brian McCann, excuse me. Drivers that are 2 laps down. Joshua Corner and Mark Morales. Pierre Talmadge 4 laps down, and Samuel S. Garcia, we saw have internet issues early in this race. Came back, spun around, had to tow to pit road. Currently 28th after seeing 4 drivers call it an evening. I think for Garcia, this is one of those races where you need to perform in the fact of started out terribly, just run this thing out, see how many positions you can grab, because this 50 machine might have to be in a must-win scenario heading into next week, and you do not want to be having the question of, am I in the top 25 in points, to where my win would make me eligible for the playoffs.
Yeah, you've got to be in the top 25 in points. Points still do matter even with the win, but I mean, if you're in the top 25, you get that win, you can secure yourself, but you still got to have a good race when you're on that, cusp of not having enough points still. Still got to have a good race, including next week at Talladega, where the big one wreck can really ruin your chance at entering that playoffs. But drivers are lining up side by side. The lights are out on the pace car. We're about to go green again, back to racing, Sam.
And some drivers that have been moving forward. Douglas Newbigin, he topped off on fuel and some damage. He's in 9th place position, but Ross Tatum, he was the driver who pitted 10 laps ago for Freshies. He has been marching his way forward on the inside. GT Rosari is up to 13th, and they're hoping to find any little bit extra speed if possible. Pace car pulls off. We're back to green flag action as we start lap 94 here tonight. Vincent Hunter. They're back at it once again, and these were the 2 drivers back in Season 6. They finished 1-2, and Hunter was the driver that missed out on that evening's race by a half a second. Here tonight, we'd love some redemption for that run. A driver that we don't usually talk about short track dominance. It's usually given to Vincent Soares. Cody Reed, big blinks by the 25. He tries to keep it simple and clean, but Hunter I mean, this is his best restart, and best charge right now is what a run off the exit turn 2.
Phenomenal restart for Cedric Hunter as he's able to stay side by side with Vincent Sora. But how long can he keep this up, and how much resource does he want to utilize to get this pass done? He is trying everything he can. Vincent Sora slides up the track a little bit. Cedric Hunter is trying to take away Vincent Sora's exits off the turn, but Vincent Sora looks like he's finally going to be able to clear Cedric Hunter and back to single file racing for the top 3 and 4 cars.
If Hunter gets a good launch, watch for this dive bomb move to the inside, and just looking for the clean air all the way down to that practically the white line in the grass is Hunter as he's looking for that clean air. Doesn't go all the way up out to the outside wall. Just trying this 13's best to keep it close. And the reason why he can't go to the outside wall, he's got a driver behind him that's trying to put the pressure. That's Thomas Green, Nick Crawford, and then it's the side-by-side wall of drivers from 5th on back.
Yeah, from 5th on back, it is just a wall of drivers like a thumb in the dam, keeping the water back. These guys not letting anybody by, just kind of sitting side by side, holding their positions as the top 4 trying to pull away, do the best they can. But Thomas Green is looking and trying at every chance he can get. Try and make that pass around Cedric Hunter so he can have a chance at challenging with the sword for the lead.
Interstage winner, that's Larry Yingling. He's trying to make the outside row work as he's now setting up the pass on Cody Reed to move up into 6th position. Look further on back, Brian P. Johnson. Where can he go to get by the 49 of Ryan Bird? Ollie Fonseca. It is just looking so tight back here, where drivers are as packed as sardines trying to find an opening, but there just isn't one. You got to trust that the driver ahead of you is the one that's going to be moving forward, but there just is no movement really being made on the inside. Bird is the one that takes off and go for now as Johnson ships it to that 2nd to 3rd row. And here's another driver who wants that his name into the hat. That's Gavin Rogers, and that's 75, just trying to find an opening where there just isn't any.
Yeah, Gavin Rogers had pit under that last caution, so he is trying to follow Colby DiCarlo, who is also the highest driver who's got the freshest tires. So Gavin Rogers, he decided to get fresh tires, but now he's got to work through this field, which is a lot harder even with fresh tires. So doing everything he can to try to get these positions. Got a little bit of smoke in front of him, but no wreck. Car's just getting a little sideways. But Gavin trying to find a way to get around Ollie Fonseca and follow DiCarlo around and get up through this field.
Still leading this race is Vincent Sora. We'll see if we can bring up our race report as we're halfway through. If you're just joining us, welcome to Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. With me is Richard Wolsifer. Zach Hall goes for a quick blink from that 32. It continues to blink behind Cody Reed, but so far we've had 7 cautions here tonight. Only couple lead changes we've had, just one. It was Vincent Sora and Larry Yingling under pit row decisions of different strategy being made as drivers going back and forth. A lot of green flag racing, which we've been loving to see so far. But Richard, this is starting to get to that point where you can just sense a caution is looming as they're 3, 4, almost thinking about 5 wide for a quick second there.
Yeah, Jared Talmadge, who's just kind of driving around right now. He had the damage earlier. I don't think he's able to get it all repaired, so he is extremely slow. But the problem is when you get back to these cars that are fighting for every inch of real estate on this track, they're 2 and 3 wide, and then you throw in a slow car in the mix. It just kind of causes a traffic jam. But Zach Hall, huge moment, gets really loose out of the turn, trying to get around Cody Reed, but he's able to keep it straight, and he's still being challenged by Brian P. Johnson on his outside as Manazzi Major is now becoming an issue as well.
Martin Morales going to be on the outside trying to fade backwards quickly, but the 91 just has 0 speed, and he's just surviving right now to stay out there on track as long as possible. Ollie Fonseca, quick glance of the wall. He has to back out of that one. And all of these big moments, it's willing to give some space for some. Others are still trying to clog their way forward, but one driver is loving this green flag racing. That's the driver in 3rd place. Larry Yingling has utilized this fresher tires, the strategy call to pit later than those that pitted at the stage break has worked, has been rewarded, and now the 67 is on the back bumper of 2nd and 1st place. Yingling trying to work that outside row to get by Hunter. He'll build up the momentum, and here we go. It's Larry Yingling's time to utilize these tires.
Larry Yingling definitely trying to get around Cedric Hunter. He's got almost 30 lap newer tires than that of Hunter, and he is utilizing it now. He is making that pass on the outside. He's been patient, worked his way up through the field, and here he is back in second place and looking for the lead again. Qualified pole, finished first in the stage, and he's trying to finish it and knock it out and take the win of this race.
Look at the history of the WSSR Cup Series, and the most winningest drivers, the most championships are those that are up front, 1 and 2. Larry Yingling, the 3-time champ. Vincent Sora, the 2-time champ. They're both trying to continue on their historic runs in the WSSR VRS Cup Series. And Vincent Sora has seen his teammates grow, mature, and just develop into championship drivers. Larry Yingling, he is trying to return to his old championship ways. And for these top two, this is probably the most they've seen of the veterans of pure dominance so far early on. These are the only 2 drivers that have led laps so far here tonight.
Yeah, an impressive work by these 2 drivers, the only 2 to lead this race so far. And it's not very often we have seen these 2 side by side fighting for the lead all season, whether it be Vincent Sora caught up in some stuff or if Larry Yingling just couldn't get through the field. But right now they're both challenging each other on the bumper of Vincent Sora. Larry Yingling gonna look high. Vincent Sora gonna take that line away. This is what we were talking about, the aero blocking, but he just straight puts his car there. He's gonna take that line away from Larry Yingling, and he's gonna keep the position right now, but Larry's still looking on that outside, trying to make that momentum work.
And for Vincent Sora, he's going to have a little bit of assistance as he's closing in on his teammate Jared Talmadge. Vincent Sora might get a little bit of help, but Yingling doesn't go high. He goes straight low, trying to maximize this side-by-side battle and trying to force his Larry Yingling a little bit of pinch move to where Sora would have had to try to get by his teammate. And in a pinch spot, it could be working out for Yingling as he almost gets to the outside quarter panel, not able to do so. Will they both go high? They will. Yingling trying to play chess while we're seeing checkers being played by others.
Yeah, they're playing checkers up here, or checkers in the back and chess up front, but Larry Yingling finally got his nose underneath Vincent Sora. This could be the challenge to change the lead. Gets a little loose, not able to put the power down, but he is still within striking distance. He's still going to try to put that nose on the inside line, take that line away from Vincent Sora, but not able to. Vincent Sora going to do a really good job defending. Martin Morales back up here, going to stay against the wall, let these leaders by. A great fight for the 67 and the 51 as they are trying everything they can to defend and attack for that position.
And for Larry Yingling, this has got to be frustrating because if you look in your mirror, you've got a driver that's closing in quickly. Ross Tatum, who has some of the freshest tires of anybody out on track, has finally climbed his way up into 3rd place in the 21, trying to show that he's one of the best drivers when we come to the short tracks. He did it early on in the season, winning for this 21. He's hoping to find himself into victory lane once, almost winning, excuse me, as he is trying to do so here this evening. Tatum, winner a few seasons ago, found some bad luck the last couple, and this 21 is now on the charge. If we stay green, Tatum could be the one who could get extremely rewarded with pitting later than everyone else recently for tires.
Yeah, Tatum is doing a great job. He's got newer tires than that of Larry Yingling, so he's now picked up the pace, trying to catch these guys and throw another wrench into the machine and make his name known, but he is slowly starting to catch them little by little each and every lap. But Larry Yingling still trying to search for the real estate on the track to get around, as Douglas Newbegin is now making a pass on Cedric Hunter to take away that 4th position.
The mind games that sometimes we have to play up in the booth, what we like to call a commentator's curse, when we praise a driver and then within moments they get caught up in a wreck or they self-sabotage. Douglas Newbegin, we're hoping we're not cursing you, but where did he come from? 4th place for the 7 machine, who is trying his best not to sabotage his run here this evening. Also behind them, Gavin Rogers. He's now up to this pack in 8th place.
Yeah, made his way up to the top 10, and not to talk too much more about Douglas Newbigging, but he has had a very quiet night, honestly, and this is what he's needed. Each and every race, we know he's got the speed to get up there, race for the lead, race against these leaders, but he always finds himself in just small self-sabotage moments. He's had a very quiet night, and that's what you need. Slowly bring your speed up, slowly make the passes, get through the field, don't make it flashy, and here he is sitting in 4th place and slowly closing in on that of Ross Tatum, who is also chasing down the leaders.
And for the 7 machine, he's 13 points out from the cut line of trying to race for a chance to be in the playoffs. And here tonight, with the fact that Brian P. Johnson struggling at moments, with the 7 being in 4th place, this can cut in and change up that battle for who makes it into the playoffs. Up front, a quick chance for Larry Yingling to go for a pass. Does not work out. He has to get back in line. And this 67 is starting to feel the struggles, you could say, of the new update. The tires, the air. When you're the leader, it just feels like you're in so much more control than you were in the old patch, where sometimes maybe if you had the better tires, you could get by. But caution is out. Let's reset from talking about that as trouble for drivers further on back.
Yeah, untimely caution for a lot of these drivers. I know some drivers that are going to be excited to see this. Gavin Rogers, who's moved his way up to 5th. Cedric Hunter, who's been dropping back. It could be a chance for him to get some fresh tires. It's going to be interesting to see what happens, but we're going to see a replay here. Back here with Jared Talmadge, who has been struggling all race, has had damage very early. He's just been kind of trying to ride around, keep as many positions as possible, but side by side here with Cody Reed with Zach Hall close behind. We'll just see what had happened exactly. But he's just staying up against the outside wall.
He just loses it.
Yeah, just loses it. Just car gets loose on him and around he goes, bringing out the yellow.
Bizarre moment for himself, as it's one of the things with this next gen vehicle. If you lose it in the center of the corner, you're practically gone. There's only 2 ways you can save that vehicle. That's leaving the session immediately, or it's slamming on the brakes. Neither were utilized, and the 27 goes around bringing out this caution. This helps some, hurts others, and we've got ourselves a new leader. Joshua Kanata staying out on track, trying to get the bonus point of leading a lap, trying just to get any little bits of points that he can. Kanata enters tonight 12th in points, in a pretty comfortable position if you look at where drivers are, where 12th to 17th in points look like. But any point is nice to have, especially on the fact that you might not be racing for who's in 17th. It could be around 15th or 14th in points. We've been seeing drivers winning here late.
Yeah, Joshua Kanata was stayed out on track. Vincent Sora is able to come out in front of him, but Gavin Rogers, who had a really good pit stop, he is going to start up there now further up. So interesting calls by a lot of drivers, unsure of why Josh Kanata decided to stay at, oh no, he pit. I do believe, oh, he pit now is what's going on.
Yeah, he found his way trying to drive through, missed his box, and now is going to go in. He drove through trying to lead a lap. That way he can go in the next lap and get his service done. So trying to go with the strategy call was the 16 machine. But we will be giving back the lead of Vincent Sora, Larry Yingling, Gavin Rogers. Going to be up to 3rd place with some drivers sliding through their boxes. It's going to be hurting them, but up front, Richard, we're about to go back to Green Flag Racing. This is critical. 70 laps to go. You don't need to pit for the rest of this race. This is crunch time. Keep your nose out of trouble, but get the clean air as quickly as you can. Green flag is out. Sora, Yingling, who can stay up front between these two, or will someone else throw their name into the hat for a chance to lead and steal the win here in North Wilkesboro?
There are a lot of drivers out front that are really fast and have been fast all night, so any one of these drivers could throw their hat in there and toss a wrench into the machine. But Larry Yingling, again, who has been very dominant this race, is doing everything he can, trying to fake out Vince's sword, trying to find a different line, get that run off the turn and maybe a dive into the next, but not really happening at the moment, as they're still too wide for 3rd place.
Too wide for we're gonna be battling for that 3rd place position, and Cedric Hunter goes around. 13 locks it down, keeps it off the wall, but went from battling around that 9th place position to falling outside of the top 20. As Hunter, that slide, I mean, cold tires, I'm not surprised to be seeing somebody loop it out of 4.
Yeah, and that's the downside. Like I said, this track has a lot of character to it. We knew that it's a very bumpy track. So trying to put the power down when these cars are bouncing over these bumps, it just gets that car really light and it spins the tires, which is what we saw there. And it swings that outside or that rear end out, gets the car loose, and around he goes. The good thing was just a self spin, going to warm those tires up, but no damage, no contact with any of their drivers, just a self spin and right back straight.
Right back straight. Quick restart we're expecting to see here, and with that we saw the spin happen. Let's see if we can talk to some of these drivers that are out on track. Let's start with the driver that's leading this thing, Vincent Sora. Get his thoughts so far in this race, because he's been looking very strong up front, been leading, holding back Larry Yingling, but let's see how he's feeling about the vehicle. Vinny, it's Sam and Richard up the booth. You got us?
Yeah, I hear you guys.
Well, you're leading this race. Clean Air looks to be dominant. How's this vehicle feeling for yourself so far?
It feels really good. I think in that last run, I just kind of burnt the right front off a little bit too much, and Larry had a little bit better tires. But yeah, up here in Clean Air, it's almost untouchable. I don't want to say it just yet, but I feel pretty good about my chances to win if it stays just like this. I think Larry and I being on even tires now, as well as the rest of the field, makes me a lot more confident because I think that tire advantage definitely helped him a lot that last run. But it's going to be tough to hold him off. These constant restarts are going to make it a little bit more difficult, but I think I got a good race car, and I feel pretty good about my chances.
Well, Vinny, it's been incredible watching you go back and forth with a lot of these guys. How has we've seen you have to work through the draft yourself, trying to get up front. Do you feel like if you got sent back there, or is there any thoughts of pitting for tires? Or do you feel like everyone's kind of staying where they're at, and this is what you got?
I think with how important track position is, this is probably where everyone's going to be for the rest of the race. I don't plan on pitting, at least. I guess we'll see if we get maybe a super long run and then we get a yellow with like 5 or 10 to go, then I might have to, just depending on how the tires feel and what everyone else does. But I think right now pretty much everyone's bed's made.
Well, Vinny, a pleasure talking to you. Congratulations on being up front currently, and good luck on the rest of this race.
Thank you, guys.
That's going to be the Nightmare Fuel 51 machine of Vincent Sora. Getting ready for this restart, as it is going to be Sora, Yingling, Rogers, Tatum, Green, your top 5. Douglas Newbigin will fall down to 6th place after mistakes on pit road. But up front, we are back to green flag action. It's going to be Team Yingling hoping for the best to get a good launch off the exit turn number 2. But Sora has been so strong on the inside, it doesn't look like he's losing it just yet. But what a power run out of the exit turn 2. This is the closest Yingling has been so far in this run. He needs another good exit if he wants a chance to take this lead away from the 51. But Richard, that inside row just looks too dominant at this time.
Yeah, the thing about the inside row is it's the shortest way around the track, so he can get further in front of him in the middle of the turn. The problem is trying to get that momentum off the turn into the straightaway. The outside line's going to have that, but in order to have such a strong run, you got to give up a lot of space in the turn. But Larry Yingling is showing he has got the outside line figured out. He is trying to power his way back to the front and start leading more laps and take control of this race, and he will, as he will clear Vincent Sora. But Sora, not giving up easily, dives that car into the turn. They are still side by side as they come out of 4.
You heard how Vincent Sora said, if you're in the lead, you're going to win this race. And the importance of getting ahead of the competition is showing it right now, as Vincent Sora, the exit of turn 2 has been his weakness so far, but it's through 3 and 4 where the inside is so strong, and Vincent Sora continues to go back and forth, but the outside is keeping the nose ahead for now. We'll see in the next 5 laps if they continue to stay side by side.
Yeah, there's single file behind them, and they're just waiting for one of these drivers to make a mistake. Gavin Rogers back there in the shadows, just kind of watching to see what happens and just trying to wait to pounce. But Larry Yingling finally able to clear Vincent Sora. Sora backs out a little bit. He's just going to fall in line. And now Larry Yingling in complete control of this race. We'll see if he can keep that car out front, disrupt the air behind him, and keep Vinny from making any special moves.
As they get in line, the battling that's looking slightly chaotic is the battling for outside the top 10. That's going to be around Ryan Bird, Ryan Bird, Irizarry, Crawford. They're all on top of one another. GT Irizarry trying his best to hold back this cluster of drivers that are just all side by side. And for some, this was not the pit stop they want to talk about. Drivers overshooting their pit stalls, some staying longer than they wanted to get damage repaired. And right now, Richard, we're seeing those drivers that were up front, had chances to stay inside of our top 10, now struggling outside of it.
Yeah, Cody Reed, he's fallen back into the field now, so unfortunate to see for him. He was doing so good up front running that outside line, but now he's stuck back in traffic. It's much harder to get passes done even from that outside line when you're back here in the middle of the field, but he's doing everything he can. He's trying to make these passes work and inch his way up through the field one car at a time.
Well, from having the lead to back to defending it, Vincent Sora is on the inside and charging. He finally found a run that got him a chance to the inside, but Yangling not giving up. That continues to run that second row, and I'm concerned for the 67. We saw how detrimental running the outside for so long just hurts these tires, especially with Cody Reed, but there's contact made. The slight wiggle and slide, and now Gavin Rogers is in the mix. Yangling hoping to get the better launch to get away. Not going to be possible, and now it's a 4-horse race for the lead position just by one contact, one slide, and here we go, Richard. Let the madness begin as we're almost 50 laps to go here at North Wilkesboro.
Just a little over 50 laps to go, and we're already seeing fenders get into each other as Vincent Sora got into Yingling there. Yingling did a great job keeping that car under his control and was still able to get the power down the straightaway, but he is still making that outside work. I'm afraid to say, like you were saying, how long is that going to work? Those tires wear out on that outside lane a lot quicker, but Gavin Rogers is just waiting. He wants them to get back into each other's fenders so he can make a move and pounce on that opportunity.
And lap cars are getting close as we've got Mark Morales, Jared Talmadge once again being caught by our leaders. Where will they place themselves? How can they get out of the way quickly as our leaders have been running high, they've been running low. There's really not a safe place to go for these drivers up front, as Yingling will have to go down to the white line through 3 and 4. Sora's been the stronger driver down there, but with having dirty air, it doesn't help the 51, and there's going to be the teammate for the 51 of the way as they'll go into turn number 1.
Yeah, the 51 dives up into the wake of Jarrett Talmadge. Try to get a little bit of drafting help. You know, you wouldn't think it'd help a lot, but just a little bit helps reduce the drag on that car. Gets a little bit of the speed, maybe gives them a chance to dive into the turn, but they're still going to be single file up here in the front. Now it's just a waiting game. Larry Yingling still trying to make that middle lane work, while Vincent Sora and Gavin Rogers on the inside, trying to wait for those tires to kind of wear out, as we've got a lot of cars in the back having some trouble and into the grass.
That's Joshua Kanata. Also good look at the weather. Currently, air temp still around 83. Track temp has fallen. It was 131 at one moment, now down to 127. But it was a little bit of trouble for Joshua Kanata and co. that went into the grass after a big slide. We continue to stay green, luckily, so no yellow flag is thrown. And we continue to see the fight go on throughout the middle of this pack. Gonna be around 13th, 14th. GT Rizari watching in his mirror as Cedric Hunter, Cody Reed, Brian McCann, as well as seeing the lap car, Jared Talmadge, all on top of one another.
Hunter, Brian McCann racing up front earlier in this race, now back in the middle of the field. They're trying to make their way forward as Brian McCann's making a move on the inside of Cody Reed. I think Cody Reed's tires are starting to leave him a little bit, the life of them starting to fade, but Brian McCann trying to make that inside work, get around Cody Reed and start making his march forward as well. But Cedric Hunter, great recovery for him as he's up to the 14th place now.
So you continue to stay side by side up front. They're in line currently. Larry Yingling continues to run the second row for himself. Vincent Sora continues to stay low and close to that white line as much as possible. But fourth place runner gonna be Douglas Newbigging. And for Douglas in the 7, big picture, finishing here in 4th is massive for Douglas Newbigging. Win changes his whole fate of looking at Talladega next week and looking at the playoffs. That completely takes away the worry of Douglas Newbigging finding the points to make it in. Instead, he's locked in. I mean, Richard, this is a tough situation for the 7 that could just see just a couple of drivers ahead is his playoff berth he's looking for.
Douglas Newbigging is definitely a lot further ahead than those drivers that he's trying to fight against. to make into the playoffs. So right now he's got to make a big decision. Does he just play it safe and stay here in the 4th position, ride it out, finish strong? Or does he want to have a little bit more of a cushion going into Talladega, like you were saying, get that win and lock yourself in with the points that you have? So it's a big decision for Douglas. He gets to the wall a little bit there, but right now he just kind of looks like he's playing it safe, keeping his distance. He's doing a really good job not overdriving that car, so he might just be trying to have just a good finish tonight, so it makes it a little easier going into Talladega.
I mean, you're 4th in row is trying to do your best. Gavin Rogers, big slide for the 75 out the exit of turn 2. We're coming up to more lap traffic here shortly for our leaders as they're closing in on the 2 of Joshua Corner. Also going to be the 41 of Kyle Rochelle and Mark Morales once again. But if you're Douglas Newbegin, you're watching your competition ahead. He's trying to find that clean air all the way at the bottom, a much more shallower entry than his 3 drivers ahead. But for the 7, I mean, you still have a little bit less than 40 laps to go. A lot of racing left, but it honestly could end in a blink of an eye. Speaking of ending, our drivers ahead of our leaders could be ending here shortly as Joshua Corner, Mark Morales, Jared Talmadge, they're going to be side by side as our leaders are closing in. Watch out for Larry Yingling, Vincent Sora. They're going to go 3 wide, 2 wide. There's dirty air in front of Yingling as the lap cars stay wide and high. They are going to squeeze on top of one another. It's Sora trying to utilize lap traffic as a pick to allow the 51 to get by. Hasn't worked out just yet. Yingling throttles up. We're 3 wide off the exit of turn 2. Contact, and Sora holds on.
Huge moment for Sora. He was trying to pinch Yingling up into the lap traffic. It didn't work. Got into his fender. Vincent Sora almost spun out himself. Kept that car under control. Now Vincent Sora's looking to the outside, but Larry's going to block it. Gavin doing everything he can, waiting for that hole to open. He sees the moments it's happening. He's just got to be a little more patient, but Vincent Sora right on the bumper of Larry Yingling and more lap traffic ahead of them. Jared Talmadge, the teammate to Vincent Sora. What can happen here? Will he be able to utilize him, or will Talmadge just stay up high? Looks like he's going to stay up high and let these leaders ride on by.
And you're trying to play the mind games of, is my teammate going to help me or are they not? While also kind of maybe hoping your teammate might assist you. Not going to be the case. We'll stay in line. It's going to be our top 4 as they get by lap cars. More lap traffic going to be ahead of Larry Yingling and our rest of our top 4. That's going to be Samuel S. Garcia as well as Ben Keeney. They're expected to stay high and out of the way. But for Larry Yingling, another great defense. But we're closing in on 30 laps to go. This is when we start to get to that desperation. Not for Sora, but I would say for Rogers, for Douglas Newbegin. They're seeing those laps tick away, and that's 2 passes you got to make if you're Gavin Rogers. That's 3 passes you got to make if you're Douglas Newbegin. And it takes a few opportunities and chances just to get by one driver, let alone multiple that are ahead of you right now.
Yeah, I think the time is winding down. There are almost 30 laps to go. These drivers have got to kick it into overdrive if they want to make these passes. I think it's time to go. I think it's time to make the aggressive moves. I think it's time to maybe use that bumper a little bit, push someone out of the way, not necessarily spin them, but you've got to get around them. You've got to not waste any more time. But these 4, this is your race for the win right here as long as we stay green. But they are all within a reach of each other to make a move as Gavin's going to try to look low, still not close enough to make that move work.
But if there's going to be a wreck, you got plenty of different lap cars that are around one another. There's lead lap drivers that are having small pockets. I think the one I'm most concerned about is probably the battle for 15th. That's Cody Reed, Brian McCann, as well as Minazzi Major. That cluster of a trio is right on top of one another. Behind them also is Colby DiCarlo with Nick Crawford, Zach Hall, Joshua Kanata. I know those drivers usually are not the ones causing issues, but they're so on top of one another that a chance of a wreck is very probable with the way that these drivers are racing here of late. Looking at drivers up front, Larry Yingling able to get by Ben Keeney. He will successfully get by lap cars, and now he's got some clean air to work with for at least the next 10 to 15 laps as they've got another group of drivers to get by. That's going to be Ryan Ferraro and Mark Morales once again.
Yeah, we had a moment there. Vincent Sora lost a little bit of ground on Larry Yingling. Gavin Rogers did try to look to the inside, was unable to get actually side by side with Vincent coming out of the turn. So Vinny was able to pull away from him, but he's doing everything he can, trying to look at different parts of the track to get a run. But right now, Thomas Green is seeing those leaders. He's still within sight of them. It's possible Thomas Green can come up and throw his hat and make it a 5-car race to the win.
I mean, he's trying so many different moves at this moment. You're trying to get by lap cars as quickly as possible, also trying to keep pace. And looking at the lap times, I mean, this is incredible speed that we're seeing from at least our top 3 on the fact that they are still putting down the fastest laps of the race, even with being on top of one another. They're just keeping pace perfectly, running 2 to 3 tenths faster than the rest of the field.
Yeah, it is impressive the speed that these guys are doing compared to everybody on the field, but they're all finding different lines to take. They're keeping that clean, fresh air on that nose to help that car rotate, to help that car turn around these turns. And it looks like it's turn 1 and 2 that they're all searching for different lines. Turn 3 and 4, they all kind of follow each other. But if you watch here in turn 1 and 2, you have, well, I guess the top 3 kind of follow each other in the same line there, but Douglas Newbigging still sticking to that inside line strategy, trying to make that work. But in 3 and 4, you see all 4 of them follow straight to the inside line. So there is something about 1 and 2 that these drivers can search for at different lines.
Yeah, with 1 and 2, the main reason why is that is at the highest peak you're going to be. You've got gravity that's helping slow down the car. You've got the help of using gravity to get onto the back stretch and go back downhill into 3 and 4. You're finding the little spaces to get that extra bit of speed to keep you ahead or keep you close to your competition. As currently Larry Yingling now a half a second ahead. He's finding a new gear. And if you're Gavin Rogers, Douglas Newbigging, Vincent Sora might have ran out of gas, and you need to get by him now if you want to pressure and get ahead. As seeing Mark Morales stay high, Shane Terry and Ryan Kelly, this is the battle for 8th place. They continue to go back and forth as looking at drivers that I'm keeping an eye on. It's going to be the battle for 13th place as drivers are all on top of one another. You've got the lap cars that are trying to sneak their way through, but here's GT Rizzari, Cedric Hunter, Brian McCann, Ollie Fonseca, Ben Keeney, lap cars, lead lap drivers all around and trying to finish out this race in green flag conditions. So with 20 laps to go, there is no give, there is no break. GT Rizzari and Ollie Fonseca, they want 12th place as badly as this is for the lead.
As a driver myself, this is the moment you don't want to be. You don't want to be that driver that brings out the caution that completely turns this race on its head. But these drivers, and it looks like it's going to happen here. Zari into the side of Ollie Fonseca. Ollie, fantastic wheel work, keeps that car from spinning out completely, but it gives up the spot. And Cedric Hunter able to get around GT Rizzari is now looking towards Ollie Fonseca.
I don't think it's going to be over just yet as GT Rizzari trying to find a way to get to the inside, just not able to do so. He finally finds the spacing. But the 24 of Ollie Fonseca, like you said, what a save, what a moment. But those tires going to be hurting for a while here as Cedric Hunter now tries to attempt to get by the 24 of Ollie Fonseca, who's now going to be a wounded vehicle with that big slide. But I'm looking around at drivers. The battle for second starting to rage up. You can see further on back, drivers still trying to get by lap traffic, but it's kind of getting fed up time. Rogers attempting the inside run as Douglas Newbigging doesn't want to give space for the 75 to move high. The 7 attempting to try to find spacing to get around these 2 as Gavin Rogers, Vincent Sora side by side. And if you're the 7 of Douglas Newbigging, you got to pick the right row that's going to move forward.
Yeah, Rogers finally looking to the inside of Vincent Sora. He's got a little bit more pace than Vinny himself. Douglas Newbigging trying everything he can to be a disruptor in this, maybe look to the middle, but Vincent Sora is not giving this up easily. I do believe his tires are a lot worse of life than Gavin. Gavin has done a great job taking care of him. He is still side by side, got a great middle of the turn run there, but Vinny's going to have a little bit more run off the turn. Gavin could have held him a little bit higher, maybe pinched him up against the wall, kept that run from being so big. But Gavin Rogers is going to do everything he can, try to get this pass complete. And Douglas, I think he's going to try to follow with Vinny into the wall a little bit, but still on the outside, Gavin doing everything he can, trying to make this pass complete. As he comes down the turn, he has a little moment himself.
He's trying to find a way. You got to get by now if you want a chance to try to run down Larry Yingling. But the more and more you battle with 15 laps to go, the gap is almost up to 1 point, almost up to a second and a half. Yingling is trying to pull away as quickly as he can, but the battle for second. Rogers doing everything in his power. The exit of turn 2, though, is where he loses all the time. And now throwing a new driver into the mix. Thomas Green, the pink, freaky fast broadcasting machine, is seeing the racing action and maybe an attempt to take a few spots here late as lap cars, lead lap drivers continue to mix back and forth with 13 coming up to 12 laps to go.
Douglas Newbigging, a huge move on the outside, is going to pass 2 cars in 1 turn. Vincent Sora got a little loose coming off the turn, but Douglas Newbigging, the aggression has started. He's on the outside, and he clears Vincent Sora to 2nd place. His eyes are set on Larry Yingling and the win.
Douglas, for the first time in a while, finally finding the space to get by and move into 2nd position. He's been watching, he's been lingering. How much of those tires has he saved? Just running that inside groove. He hasn't touched the outside until that one moment. And now for Douglas Newbigging, 1.2 seconds is the difference. 11 laps to go. He's got to make about a 1/10 a second or more each lap if he even wants a chance to catch up to Yingling.
He's got to make some great speed right now, but if he's got some tire left, which it does seem, he was able to pass both Gavin and Vincent Sora very easily, so he might have some life left in those tires. But don't look now as Ryan Kelly and Thomas Green getting around Gavin Rogers, and they're chasing down Vincent Sora now, going to try to pass him for 3rd.
Trying every pass possible, and you could just tell all of that hard work, all the effort just kind of being thrown away for Gavin Rogers, for Vincent Sora. They're just trying their best to hold the tight as best as possible, but the lap time, it is closing in as Douglas Newbigging once again closes in on the gap. It was down to about a second. Now it's going to be down to less than a second. It's 8/10 with 8 laps to go between Larry Yingling and Douglas Newbigging, who both are searching for their first win this season. And for Douglas, the pressure, the chance to lock himself into the playoffs.
Douglas Newbigging is doing a fantastic job. He has got life in those tires. He's got life in that car. He is running almost 2/10 of a second faster than Larry each and every lap. He was 2/10 faster that lap. That gap has closed. Though you can get the gap closed, you can get right to their bumper, but then the real battle starts. The pass for the lead has been difficult for every driver so far tonight. Will Douglas have enough life in those tires when he catches Larry to make this pass and take his first win of the season?
Every attempt you can go for. Larry Yingling is going at every single chance to be the inside, maximize the speed, close in on this gap. And with lap traffic building up ahead, it's the chance for Douglas Newbigging. Yingling gets by Cody Reed. Douglas ducks down low. It's 5 laps to go here in North Wilkesboro, and we might have another classic in front of us here, Richard, as it's now down to less than 4/10. You're there for Douglas. You've closed it in. One bump, one tap, or just a good dive bomb move, and Douglas Newbigging can aim for the lead.
He's got to be careful. He can't ship it into the turn. He still has 4 laps to go. You cannot take out your competition. You can rough them up. You can get side by side and get into their door. Don't spin him out. Don't ruin your chance of taking this win and losing that chance at the playoffs. But he is right on the bumper of Larry Yingling. This is the position he wants. He's going to look low. Again, he's still got more speed. He is side by side. They get into a door a little bit. Side by side with Larry Yingling for the lead.
We've already seen contact will be utilized here this season. Will there be even more? Yingling trying to pinch the 7, but the 7 says, I'll use up everything I've got. Douglas is fighting for a chance. The last time this 7 was in victory lane was back in season 7. He won twice that season at Dover and Auto Club. It's been a drought for himself since September 27th of 2023. Yingling, though, he won last season. It was at the Milwaukee Mile. Both hoping for a chance to win, and across the line, this race is official. White flag. Will it be Yingling? Will it be Newbigging? Both getting into one another. They've got to be careful not to wreck each other. Ryan Kelly started to close it as well. Douglas with the nose. Who's gonna get the win? Will it be the greatest, or will it be a chance for the playoffs? Douglas gets by. The 7 is into the playoffs. Douglas wins here at North Wilkesboro.
Another last lap past 2 races in a row. Douglas Newbigging, against all odds, takes the lead away from Larry Yingling, who has been dominant all race. Douglas Newbigging, welcome to the playoffs.
Douglas just proving it here tonight. If you take away the self-sabotaging moments, this 7 has the pace for victory. He doesn't make a mistake, and victory lane calls his name. Congratulations to Douglas Newbigging. Welcome to joining the different winners this season. He's the 8th different winner, and this locks the 7 into the playoffs. A much needed win, and the stretch of Talladega is off the chest of the 7. But Richard, this makes things a lot more intense. Looking at Talladega next week on who's going to be at that cutoff line. We'll wait for the update of points, but for us, we're going to step away. When we come back, we'll talk to our top 3 in a spotlight driver. What a race, what a run. Congratulations, Douglas. You're back into victory lane. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Freaky Fast Broadcasting on your Wednesday night of the WSSR VRS Cup Series. It's the post-race show for race number 11 at North Wilkesboro. Maybe this update was exactly what the WSSR needed. Maybe a lot of cautions, but the finishes have been fantastic. 3 last lap passes in a row. Michigan, the Roval, now here in North Wilkesboro. Wow, it has been a time to watch here on Wednesday nights. As we head to victory lane, we pull up the 7. Douglas, you are back into the win column. Congratulations on winning here at North Wilkesboro. I was looking back at it. Season 7 at Auto Club was the last time you were in victory lane here. September 27th of 2023. But man, what a time to get a win. You are locked into the playoffs.
Yeah, I know. It's been way too long. Definitely a bunch of races I should have one at least, but since then, but yeah, man, I mean, I was kind of hoping it would be tonight because I didn't trust Talladega that much, and the stage, I was kind of really worried about points, and man, dude, I really didn't think I was gonna get it out after I get held up by Larry and Vincent there. I mean, God, Vincent and Gavin, I got held up behind them for so long. Once I broke free of them and I saw how far Larry was up ahead, I did not think I was gonna get that. But man, oh, what a good race! I love this place.
Douglas, fantastic win tonight. Another last lap pass to win to victory tonight. And we've been watching you all season, and it's always been a self-sabotage moment that has kind of put you back in a position where you were worried about making the playoffs. But how does it feel not worrying going into Talladega now about points?
Oh yeah, you kidding me? It feels awesome. I've been kind of worrying about points the last couple of weeks, and we just got. It's just a mixture of bad luck, and like I said too, with the qualifying, that's kind of been my biggest issue right now. It just puts me in the spot where I just get all these bad wrecks and everything else. But yeah, man, I mean, it feels so nice not having to worry about it because I was like, I keep checking the points and like figuring out scenarios, and man, it was just sick. I love it.
I mean, Douglas, I feel like we say it all throughout these last couple of seasons. If you could just clean it up, you are a threat every race we go to. How much does a race like tonight just make you feel more confident about yourself moving forward, knowing the playoffs are just 2 weeks away?
Oh yeah, it kind of makes me really happy. I mean, this is definitely one of the tracks where I feel like it's definitely super throttle control. Even no matter what gear you were in tonight, it was really throttle control heavy, and I really tend to favor those tracks compared to the ones that are more like full throttle and dirty air. So I mean, just you can run whatever line you want to run. I made my own line that I always like running here, and no one else took it. So just yeah, I mean, it's awesome. Finally putting one of these together. So it's been, I mean, looking at my season stats, I only have one top 5 and one top 10 so far this year. I'm like, what in the world happened? It's so bad, but yeah, it's finally good to put one together.
We're proud of you, Douglas, on getting this one done. And before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any other shout outs.
Oh yeah, man. Shout out Lucky Duck Motorsports, obviously. Huge thanks to them. Everybody there. Ben Kinney, shout out to him. Trujua, Seth, big shout out to him. You couldn't make it tonight. Something, I don't know what happened to him, but fell into a lake, we'll call it that. Everyone else on Lucky Duck Motorsports, John, shout out to him, team owner. Shout out everyone also in the top 4 there, racing me clean. That was sick. Always love running against, all those guys for wins cleanly. Yeah, man. Tiltify too. There's a big Tiltify fundraiser going on for Immune Deficiency Foundation, I think it is. They're raising a bunch of money. Go support that. Shout that out. Simrat Markets. If you want this beautiful scheme, you like it, you get the base for it. So, yeah, man. There's probably a little more, but that's all I can think of on the top of my head. So, thank you everybody that you guys broadcast to. Shout out you guys. You guys are always fun to watch back, and always like watching the streams, even though I haven't been finishing so good. Your streams make up for it. So,
well, thanks for giving us such a great show. You probably had pass of the race there late, going for that 3-wide move, and then ultimately getting it done there on the final lap. Douglas, congratulations on this win. Congratulations on punching your ticket to the playoffs. Enjoy this one. Good luck next week at Talladega, but ultimately, good luck in the playoffs here in 2 weeks.
Yeah, thank you very much. Hope we'll take the momentum and win another one, whether for me or for my team. So, see what happens.
We can't wait to see how it goes, Douglas. Congratulations and enjoy this one.
Thank you.
As we move from victory lane, we go down to second place to talk to the 67 of Larry Yingling, who dominated the first stage. Saw it there late after defending Vincent Sora. He had this win locked up, but there late came the surge by the 7. Larry, I mean, you looked so dominant here tonight. I'm pretty sure you led the most laps. You won the stage, but how are you feeling after coming away second here tonight after a run that we thought we were going to see you back in victory lane?
Definitely feels like I lost a championship race tonight. Yeah, this somehow got pole. It felt really smooth. And that whole first, I don't know, 50 or so laps, I felt like I was definitely podium speed at least. I thought Vinny was maybe a little faster in the first part. And then people flipped stages as I expected, and then I got up to second with the 10 lap or so fresher tires I had mid race, and so that helped a lot. Then had a really fun battle with Vinny there. I think we made a couple. Well, I think I hit the wall as the contact. Then I started pulling away there, but I remember in practice just seeing what gear people were running just to make sure I was right. And I saw Doug was running fifth the whole time, so I definitely took a mental note. And that last half or so, that last run, I was definitely paying attention to him, and I knew if it stayed green, which I wanted to anyway, he would have a massive chance. And when he got close, I was like, oh man, I hope this lap traffic somehow works for me. But yeah, I had a really fun battle there. Hate finishing second. I feel like that was my best race in a couple years. But yeah, hopefully some momentum. I don't know where we go next week, but hopefully it translates.
Yeah, phenomenal dominance from you today, Larry. I mean, you qualified pole, you led pretty much the entire first stage, and you got back up to lead fairly quickly, even after all the pit rotations. So, I mean, coming home second, still really good. Douglas just had, a really good late race surge. You're still safe in the points, it seems, for the playoffs. So, how do you expect to attack Talladega next week?
Oh man, Dega. Well, hope I don't wreck. I'll probably get wrecked. Yeah, hopefully. Yeah, I don't know where we go after Talladega, but I'll be looking for that towards that race more too.
Yeah, I mean, looking to the future, Larry, Talladega last race of the regular season, first round of the playoffs will eliminate 4 drivers. After that, going to be the Indianapolis Oval in Chicagoland. First round, how are you feeling about the bigger tracks that we're heading towards?
I definitely love those tracks. I know last time we went to Indy, I got pulled there and led a bunch. So, but that was a complete different car with tires and stuff and aero. So hopefully, I can bring that tonight's speed and last season's speed there again.
Well, we cannot wait to see how you perform there, Larry, next week and into the playoffs. Before we let you go, though, the floor is now yours for any other shout-outs.
Definitely shout out my teammates this race: Ryan Kelly, Brian McCann, and Kevin Hashbrown, and all my sponsors: Cody Glencock's Music, Port City Cards, and Muffin Sports Cards on Instagram, and Sim Precision Prints for your 3D printing needs. And shout out to you guys as always, and hopefully I get another podium interview soon.
Hopefully, it will be in victory lane. That will be the 67 of Larry Yingling coming away second here tonight. Great momentum with playoffs right around the corner. Larry, enjoy this one and good luck next week at Talladega.
Thank you, sir.
As we move from second place, we go down to third to talk to Larry Yingling's teammate of Ryan Kelly, who was back in 5th, 6th position, watching all the chaos for a while there. Ryan, you come away third here, but was there a flash in a moment where you felt like, hey, if they wreck up front, I might have a win for myself?
Yeah, there was right at the end there. I saw him getting close for the last couple of laps, and saw my teammate there on the outside, so hoping he wouldn't get wrecked, but was kind of hoping for maybe a little contact just to get me there. But it was a good show for me, and hopefully for everyone else too.
Yeah, Ryan starting back in like the 31st position, 30th position for you tonight, all the way up to third, being the whiplash biggest mover of the race. What was it like starting back that far with this new aero update on a short track here at North Wilkesboro?
Yeah, definitely took my time. Knew the stage would be early on, so just tried to make it to that without getting in any incidents, and then got started in the back from crashing and qualifying, and then wound up actually missing my pit box there on the first pit stop. So it took me about half the race to start getting going forward, but it just happened to work out there with that last long run, and yeah, can't P3, can't complain.
It certainly was an impressive recovery run for yourself. Like Richard said, you are our Whiplash SimCam's biggest mover of the race here this evening. Congratulations on taking that award. We've got Talladega to finish off the regular season. You were already locked into the playoffs with the way that you performed here tonight and the amount of points that are left on the table. You are good. Our first round of the playoffs, though, Indianapolis, Chicagoland. How do you feel like you could carry today's momentum and hopefully next week's momentum into the playoffs?
Yeah, hoping to carry it over. And there's a lot of fast guys in here, so it'll definitely be difficult. And I think the competition's just getting stronger and stronger every year. So hopefully we can carry the momentum. I think the playoff tracks look good for me. I feel comfortable there, and hopefully we'll get it done.
Well, we can't wait to see how you perform in the playoffs, Larry, as well as next week at Talladega. Before we let you go, though, the floor is now yours for any other shout-outs.
Yeah, I'd just like to thank all the sponsors in the league for allowing us to do this. Thank you guys for putting on a good show. Thank my family for watching and all my teammates tonight.
That will be the three machine of Larry Yingling coming away third here tonight. Congratulations, Ryan, for getting this one. Ryan Kelly, the three,
That's all right.
taking away his third place finish. Ryan, and congrats. Enjoy this top three, and good luck next week at Talladega.
Yep. Thanks, gentlemen.
That is going to be the three machine of Ryan Kelly from Yin Yang Racing for himself. Then we're going to move down to seventh, a driver who had an up and down evening for himself. Got into some contact with drivers earlier on, found himself fading, went with the gamble of not pitting at the stage, and ultimately comes away with a top 10 at the end of this race. We've got Brian P. Johnson with us. Brian, a roller coaster of an evening for yourself, but a top 10 at the end of the night. How are you feeling after your performance here this evening?
Oh, man, long time no see. Man, pretty good. Yeah, there was a mountain of adversity in this race for me. Those 200 laps were filled with all sorts of hurdles. But feeling pretty good about top 10. You know, that's what is what I need to do to hopefully make the playoffs. I'm pretty close to that cut line, and Doug winning tonight did not help my cause. But you know, good on him for winning that race. I was watching that battle for the lead back where I was, and that was a good show. But you know, got some decent stage points, so that's good. Um, but you know, got to do the same thing next week at Talladega, and just you know get some good stage points, maybe lead a lap, get another point like that, and you know, another solid top 10, and hopefully that'll be enough to get me in.
Well, Brian, you definitely had an up and down race. And first off, I want to say I love the tribute scheme to the Prince of Darkness for tonight's race. But I mean, yeah, you were right there, pretty much going to be on that cut line for the playoffs. You know, I've asked all drivers pretty much tonight, but Talladega's next week. Do you think that is going to be a very good opportunity for you to get up front and maybe steal the win away?
The opportunities will definitely be there. I think like me personally, I kind of lack a little bit of I don't know if it's skill, talent, or luck at super speedways, but I don't qualify well, which is not going to help me get those stage points. But you know, anything can happen at any time. So hopefully, whatever happens, we're on the good end of it. And yeah, you know, for the Painscape tonight, just threw something together real quick yesterday. You know, I always loved Ozzy's music, so you know, figured I put something a little together. It turned out all right, but yeah, next week it's gonna be crazy. Anybody's win.
We certainly know it's going to be crazy. We're looking at the points. I'm looking at them updated currently. You're the first driver because of Zach's win. You're the first driver at the cut line bounced out. You've got Cedric Hunter, Chris Stitz, Joshua Kanata going to be the three drivers ahead of you, just a mere 5 points. The difference between you guys and the four of you. How does that make you know? How does that make you feel knowing that next week isn't a drop race and the difference in points is so close between 4 to 5 drivers?
Yeah, I mean, talking about 5 points, you know, that's the difference between a good stage and a bad stage. You know, like tonight, I think for the stage, I finished like fifth or sixth or something like that. So, you know, that's right around 4 or 5 points. So, got to do the same thing next week. Um, have a good stage, but really need to have a better stage than all of those guys. You know, hopefully they can get stuck back in traffic or something, and um, you know, I can close that gap in the stage, then that way the rest of the race is really just about position and there's no crazy math involved.
Well, Brian, congratulations on your second top 10 finish of the season. And before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any other shout outs.
Yeah, just got to thank you guys for putting on a great show as always, and everybody that tuned in. Got to thank all my teammates, Cedric Hunter, Zach Hall, everybody at Category 5, you know, Vincent and Nick as well, Nick Crawford. They're always a joy to race with. Got to thank my fiance Priscilla for supporting me. Um, Hopefully she tuned in and saw a little bit of that. But yeah, just that's pretty much it.
Well, it was awesome to call, Brian. Congratulations on your 7th place finish here tonight. Enjoy it and good luck at the battle that we're going to see next week at Talladega.
Thank you, sir.
As that will finish out our interviews here this evening. What a run. What a historic night. Crazy to think. Almost 2 years since the last time Douglas Newbegin found himself in victory lane here in the WSSR VRS Cup Series. That was back when we were running the old ARCA car that had the Gen 4 update, but it wasn't supposed to be an update vehicle. This is the first time we're seeing Douglas Newbegin win in the next gen vehicle. So that's another kudos to the 7 machine that finally got that monkey off of his back. As we take a look at our unofficial results here this evening. What a run it was for race number 11. 3 races in a row, final lap pass being made as Douglas Newbegin puts his name into the hat that he will be racing in the playoffs, with Larry England going to be in second, with Ryan Kelly finishing out third. Thomas Green going to take fourth, with Gavin Rogers going to take that 5th place position. Vincent Sora went from a chance to win to falling to 6th. Brian P. Johnson taking away 7th. 9th was Shane Terrian. Ross Tatum able to come away with a 9th place finish. And finishing out our top 10, Ryan Bird. What a charge for the 49 machine, who I forgot to report on the fact that he as well had at the end of the line penalty to start tonight's race off. So great recovery runs for a lot of drivers here tonight. But Richard, I mean, you look at the rest of the field, it was a rough night for, I'd say, everyone else outside of the top 10.
Yeah, really rough night for a lot of drivers. But I mean, Chris Stitz, who was looking to try and make the playoffs, he had a pretty decent night finishing there in 11th. Brian McCann, who was caught in a lot of 3-wide situations, finishing 12th himself. Cedric Hunter, who had a few moments, dropped back to the 14th. He was running up for the lead at one point as well. But Zach Hall, last week's winner, back in 20th position. And Jarrett Talmadge, who was we expecting to have a good night, had early on damage, had to get as much as damage as he could repaired. Fell back quite a few laps down, finishing back in the 26th position. So a lot of rough nights for a lot of great drivers, but other drivers able to sneak up and get into positions they probably didn't think they'd be normally.
Yeah, it's going to be an itch. The way tonight finished out, Douglas Newbegin winning this race. He came out with the win. All the bonus points that were given, 16th in points. Zach Hall, 17th in points. Richard, I'm looking at drivers that mathematically, based off of the amount of points that are left out there on the field, there's only 2 drivers that can point their way in to making it into the playoffs. Majority of the field, they're in must-win scenarios. That means that we're going to have a lot of desperate drivers marching to get up front at the end of Talladega next week. Next week is a do-not-miss event, as it is going to be a crazy one coming to the end of the line, where I got a feeling it might be 4 races in a row that we've got a white flag change of the lead finish that we get to see.
Well, when it comes to Talladega or any super speedway, that's almost expected. But yeah, I mean, we've had 2 races in a row now where the finish has been just astronomical. Amazing racing for the end of these past 2 races we have had. And next week, it is desperation mode for a lot of the field. I guarantee you we will see 3-wide racing pretty much the entire way, as a lot of those drivers further back in points that can't point in, that need the win, will be making some very desperate and aggressive moves to try to get their way to the front as quick as possible and see that checkered flag first.
Yeah, next week you don't want to miss it. This is going to be the first race that we get to see the Super Speedway package with this new iRacing update with the aero and tires. How will that influence? I'll wait and see, as our next broadcast will be Tuesday night. The BRB Racing League going to be our next destination, as we will be having ourselves heading to Gateway. Going to be the last race that we cover for those drivers. Then in August, we get to add a new league. Monday nights, we are back to calling, as the Trinity Racing League gets to have their first race. I'm excited for it. But Tuesday night, can't wait to finish out our run that we had to covering the BRB Butt Kicker Cup Series. Then we will be here on Wednesday, for finishing out the regular season with the WSSR Cup Series. What a season it has been. Richard, any final thoughts before we call it an evening here from North Wilkesboro?
It's going to be a must-watch race next week, so please tune in, and even tune in on Tuesdays. That's some exciting racing as well. So, but these drivers, it is down to the line. One race left to the playoffs. It is do or die. It is time to see who the final 16 drivers will be after the end of the race next Wednesday night. So tune in and see who our final playoff drivers are going to be as we go into the final bit of the season.
For this evening, we want to say thank you to everyone that joined with us. For myself, Sam Dyer, for Richard Wolsifer, and for Robert Moyer Jr. and everyone else that helps out here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting. Thank you for spending your Wednesday evening with us watching the WSSR VRS Cup Series. As this Season 11 Race 11 had a spectacular classic finish, Douglas Newbigging takes it at the end. We also want to say thank you to the primary sponsors of the WSSR VRS Cup Series. That's VRS, the Virtual Racing School, GTR Simulators. If you're looking for trophies, head on over to TrophySmack.com. If you're getting yourself a Wall Smack item from Trophy Smack, remember to use the promo code WSSR Smack for 10% off. Also, if you're looking to find yourself a trophy, sim racing equipment, or whatever 3D modeling can get you, go check out Sim Precision Prints. Use the promo code for WSSR for $50 or more purchases to get yourself a 10% discount. Sim Precision Prints. Go head over and check out the great stuff they have built, as they will be our trophy provider for Season 11. And finally, we want to say thank you to our camera providers, Whiplash SimCams, for giving us all the angles for our coverage here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. But for tonight, thank you for joining with us. It was an incredible race. Next week, Talladega. Who makes it into the 16 positions to race in the playoffs? You're going to have to show up here next Wednesday. It is a don't miss event. It's going to be spectacular. But if you can't wait until then, don't worry. We've got you Tuesday night for the BRB Butt Kicker Cup Series. We'll see you then Tuesday for our next Freaky Fast broadcast.